Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, joins us on 365 Sports. Dennis, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. I know you're always grinding. And you put out your 24 things, etc., when it comes to the college football season. When you start putting all that in writing, how much do you like, man, so much has changed? And I think that might have been your opening sentence in your story.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's very little about football. When you consider NCAA stuff, lawsuits, Florida State, stuff like that. But the lead was things will never be the same. You can, we've had the end of the college football playoff as we knew it. Now it's going to triple. And I didn't put it in there, but I think I've been saying all summer, there are things we haven't even thought of that are going to be huge with this. And I don't know what they are. I mean, it's just stuff that's going to pop up. There's going to be seating issues. That's why I think, Smokey, this thing, November 1st, is going to be about 20, 25 teams that are going to be in the running for this thing. You could never say that with the old DCS and the CFP. So I think it's going to be fun.
I had brought this up. Somebody had put this question out about was the 12-team college football playoff one of those where the bracket would change based on the seedings at the end of each round? And the answer is no. And I kind of like it that way, don't you?
Yeah, I think that kind of, mucks it up, for lack of a better term. Just set the bracket. I mean, the seedings I think are important to begin with, to rank the teams in the bracket. But after that, it is what it is. You only have 12. It's not like you're having the Stanley Cup playoffs or the NBA or something like that. You only have 12. So the best are going to be 10.
Dennis, with 17 teams this year, like you said, changing conferences, do you think that the common college football fan will have a period of confusion when this thing starts about where everybody is and how this affects everything going on?
Well, somebody like me is having problems. I can't imagine what the fans. I mean, I don't know exactly right off the bat who's in Conference USA. I know the Sun Belt stayed the same. The Americans changed. I know those top two or those top four conferences pretty much, or the Power Four, those 68 teams. But I think the best way to one of the best ways to look at it is you look at the SEC and Big Ten combined. 8 out of the top 10 in the coaches poll are from those two leagues, and 15 out of the 25. You want to know how this is going to go? 15 out of the top 25 in the country are from those two leagues. I don't know if that's ever happened before.
What's a bigger story, realignment, the new realignment, as Paul, you had mentioned 17, or EA Sports College Football 25?
Depends on your view. I mean, every media day I was at, the players were either playing it or being asked about it or complaining about their rating. And I just got my copy. I'm sitting here at 0-8 with Hawaii in the Big 12 right now, so I don't even know what that means. But yeah, to the younger, I guess, fans and players, that's all they're going to do. I mean, good luck going to class, practice, games, EA Sports, NCAA football.
No, I agree. I mean, I agree. Dennis, you said there's some things that we don't even know what they are that are still going to happen. Will that most likely be around something that's new when it comes to what the athletes will get, or do you feel like it will be more about realignment?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think there was a movement, and there still might be a movement for the selection committee or the CFP to put in a set of standards that have to be met to get in, if you will, in terms of maybe schedule strength. And they don't want to do that. I mean, they don't want to show their work. It's as I keep saying, it's the most secretive process we've had in college sports because the coaches show their ballots at the end of the year. Any AP voter shows their ballot week to week. We know even the basketball committee shows the top 16 teams, the top seeds in February every year. That's something. We get this contrived Tuesday night, thing during November, which is nothing more than selling, selling commercials and trying to get the selection committee chair to say something that you can hang on him and said, yeah, but you said this. And it never happened. So I would like to see it. I would like to see it definitely opened up What are they doing? Let's see their math.
Well, Dennis, it doesn't make sense to me why and this coming out of last year with everything that happened with FSU, it just makes sense. Like, what's the secret? Because are you afraid that somebody's going to see it and go, oh, well, they definitely did say the SEC has to get in this thing. If there's nothing to hide, then why not show it?
Well, look, you know the answer to the question. They don't want people trolled on Twitter. And worse, last year there were threats against selection committee people after the Florida State decision. And I hate to say this, but if you can't stand it, don't do it. It is what it is. And I think it's going to get, in terms of this thing, there's going to be even more scrutiny on it. Now, in some ways, look, all the teams that deserve to be in are going to get taken care of. But we're going to have arguments over first round buys, seeding, and that 13th team. And you know how that's going to go. Look what happened with Florida State. So it's going to happen. I guess the word, I would say be more accountable. I mean, I know we have an Air Force general now in charge.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, but he's never done this. He was a football player. And by the way, Richard Clark's his name. I'm really impressed with him. He's totally in. Great guy, great accomplished, very accomplished. But I'm sure there are things he hasn't even thought of that he's going to have to deal with.
We had him on in Vegas at Big 12 Media Days, and you're right, just distinguished. And when we suggested a couple of things that are the challenges, he wasn't like I always thought Bill Hancock, who was there forever, was a politician. I didn't feel that from him.
I agree. I think he's a forward thinker. He's a guy that flew 40 bombing missions in the Middle East when he was a pilot. So he's not afraid to take it. Like, he's a guy that might listen to some of this. Like, hey, let's open this up a little bit. But I think he's going to be very progressive. There's a thing called a murder board that he wants to use, and this is used in the corporate world, military. It's called a murder board. You go in with your team, wherever your team is, wherever Smokey's team is. You go to a whiteboard. Here's our next project. You write it down, and the team that's watching shoots holes, and they murder it. What's wrong with it? What can we do better? That's what he wants to do. Now, I don't know if that applies. That might apply to game production or something. I don't know if that's going to apply on picking teams.
That's cool, though. I mean, that would be cool. You go in with an idea, and they shoot holes in it. That tests exactly
like opposition research.
Yeah,
right.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's progressive. I like it.
So, Dennis, the football season actually going to start here pretty soon. There's so many things, as you mentioned, outside of just the games. Your thoughts? Is it automatic, really, almost at Ohio State, Georgia, Texas? Who am I missing? Oregon, and then maybe there's like the same five that everybody will have in their top five or so, at least for a while.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Georgia's pretty much head and shoulders number one. Obviously, these teams still have to do it. I like Texas. Now, they lost Baxter, obviously the tailback, yesterday with the knee, but I think they've got enough depth. Ohio State may have the best defense in the country. Oregon, I think, will challenge Ohio State in the Big Ten, and I think they'll make the playoffs. And then again, we can talk about this now, but then you got to win 3 or 4 more games to win a championship. So it's going to be fun. Yeah, I would say that we're not talking about Alabama. I think Alabama would get in, but I don't know if they'll win it. And that's a whole new set of circumstances. What happens if Kalen DeBoer, who takes over for the greatest coach of all time? We've never seen this in our lifetime. What if he goes 9-3, makes the playoff, and gets knocked out in the first round? How's it going to sit with Alabama fans? I don't know. Probably not well. But that's something to look at.
I've said this, and I've said it to a lot of college guests, Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, that a lot of college football fans, especially of the blue bloods, alphas, et cetera, they're going to have to maybe at some point check themselves at the door with what a good record is these days.
Oh, yeah. I started to get into that at the SEC media days in Dallas. I started asking around, okay, 9-3, should you guys get in? Absolutely. We have the hardest schedule in the country. What are they going to say? But my point is, you're going to have 9-3 teams in mostly, probably exclusively the Big Ten and the SEC because of the schedules they play. So if you win the right 9, I mean, look at Florida. Florida's got a chance to get in because they arguably have the best the toughest conference ever. It is by far the toughest conference this season. I don't know if any team has gone into a season playing 8 of the top 20 ranked teams in the coaches poll. 40% of the teams that are ranked.
Yeah.
And that's what Florida's doing. Now, they're not, I don't think they're good enough to win 9 of those games, but if they win 7 of them, Billy Napier might get an extension. And everybody take a look at that schedule. I mean, who was it? UCLA going into the Big Ten is traveling the equivalent of 89% of the way around the globe. They go to LSU. They go to Hawaii, I think, the first week. They play in the Big Ten. They fly across the country for a couple of games. What impact is that going to have on them? So there's different things besides point spread and injuries that are going to affect these games.
Go ahead, Paul. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead and flex your follow-up.
That's where, and it's over. Like you said, things are never going to be the same. Why the Big 12, when they had 10 teams and everybody played everybody, it was an absolute, you knew who earned the opportunity to play for a conference title.
And the same in basketball, when everybody played everybody. Yeah, remember they trumpeted that. They were the only true, round-robin team in the country. We get 7 out of our 10 teams to the tournament. Well, now they have 16. And having said that, I think it's in there in the story, I think the Big 12 is like a top 3 story this year, just because it's going to be so fascinating. With those 16 teams, and I know Utah's favored, but it's pretty wide open. Mm-hmm. And whoever wins it is probably going to do something that they've never done before. Think about Kansas, they make. Think about Kansas State. Think about Utah. They've been to Rose Bowls. They've never played for a championship. Can you imagine Lawrence, Kansas hosting a first-round game, which, by the way,
will be where?
They've already been cleared by the CFB to play a first-round game, most likely that Friday night, December 20th, at Arrowhead Stadium. Okay. How about that?
That would be awesome.
How about that?
That would be awesome.
Dennis, what do you make of all of the chaos going on off the field with Michigan right now when it comes to the NCAA suspending a coach that doesn't want to coach in the NCAA anymore and has a better job, to what's going to happen with Sharon Moore, and will this team be able to put off the distraction again like they did a year ago?
Well, it's embarrassing, first of all, overall, because Sharon Moore, according to that draft notice of allegations, deleted 52 text messages, which may or may not be the smoking gun to prove that somebody at Michigan knew about Connor Stallions, because we don't have that. We have Michigan obfuscating. We have Jim Harbaugh not cooperating. We have details on what Connor Stallions did, but the NCAA hasn't been able to tie, say these people knew. Here's the smoking gun. Sharon Moore, because of what I just mentioned, could be suspended this year. You'd have another season. Now, I don't want to say it was easy for Jim Harbaugh to miss half the games last year, but he did have a support system built in where Sharon Moore was kind of the senior coach, and he went 4-0 during those suspensions. Sharon Moore's a rookie head coach, and who would take over for him with the season at stake in some of these games? I don't know. The other thing is, you guys need to become familiar with the Cheeseburger Gate. And this is public. All you have to do is read the public infractions report that came out, 2 days ago, that concluded that Jim Harbaugh obfuscated, lied, whatever, in the COVID case. Level 2 violations. They worked out players, had players in during COVID. Not supposed to do that. Level 2, nothing to it. Except that Jim Harbaugh says it never happened. I don't remember meeting with any of these players. Here's Cheeseburger Gate, page 5 of the public infractions report. On February 28, 2001, there was a breakfast allegedly between Jim Harbaugh, a prospect, and his dad. We know this because a receipt exists with somebody at 8 a.m. ordering a cheeseburger for breakfast. And we know this because the prospect told the NCAA, it stood out because the coach ordered. Jim Harbaugh's response to the NCAA, I don't remember. I don't remember that happening. Yeah. And he said that time after time, and he still stands by it.
Austin Meek, who covers Michigan, has a picture in his Twitter feed with a burger, a cheeseburger, and fries on a plate. It's a great deal. Dennis, as always, thanks for your time. I know you got so much to do, and I look forward to whatever is going to happen that we don't know about, because that only brings more interest, although has been a crazy, crazy 3 or 4 years. Thanks for your time, my friend.
Yeah, get ready for some football. I'm ready for that. Thanks, guys.
Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports.